In October 1992, historian Claire Delaney arrived in Dryden Hill, Vermont, to document abandoned Civil War sites. Locals avoided the old logging trails near the North Woods. They spoke of a fog that never cleared, and the voices that came with it. Claire, ever the skeptic, thought it was small-town folklore, until the fog met her on her first morning there. Later that day, Claire visited the Dryden Hill Diner, asking about the trail she saw in the fog. The room fell silent. An older man in the corner, eyes cloudy with age, said only one thing. "That trail remembers everyone who enters, but not everyone returns." He warned her to stay away, especially after dark. Ignoring the old man's warning, Claire returned to the trail at dusk. The fog rolled in faster this time, thicker, colder. With each step into the woods, the silence deepened, until she heard it. A whisper, her name. Spoken from nowhere, and everywhere. Claire spun around, nothing there. But the whisper came again, closer this time. Her breath caught from the fog, a pale hand reached out, thin, trembling fingers brushing her shoulder. She turned to face it. And saw no one. Stumbling through the fog, Claire found a clearing. And in it, rows of wooden crosses. Each one marked with names scratched in fading ink. She leaned in to read one. Her heart stopped. It read, Claire Bennett, 1987. Her own name and her own birth year. Claire turned to run, but something moved in the treetops, not an animal, not human. A hunched figure, wrapped in decaying cloth, perched impossibly high. Its head twitching unnaturally, it whispered in a language she couldn't understand. But it knew her name. Claire walked into a clearing, breath frozen in her chest. White cloths hung from the trees, swaying like ghosts. In the middle, a circle made of stones, and inside it, bones. Not old, not buried. Laid out carefully, like someone had just finished. Claire stepped back. She realized, someone had been here recently. And they weren't far. Claire heard branches snapping behind her, and quickly turned, but no one was there. Still, the feeling of being watched only grew stronger. She wasn't alone. Slowly, she raised her flashlight, and froze. Dozens of pale faces stared back at her from between the trees, unmoving and silent. Claire woke up in complete darkness, the taste of blood in her mouth, and a sharp pain in her skull. The walls around her were carved with strange, glowing symbols, pulsing like they were alive. As she stood up, disoriented and terrified, a narrow tunnel revealed itself ahead. But then, she heard it. Slow, heavy breathing, coming from just behind her, where no one should be. Claire's breath quickens, the air thick with dread. As she stumbles back, trying to escape, the whispers seem to swirl around her, louder, more sinister. She can't make out the words, but the malice is undeniable. Her foot catches a loose stone, and she crashes to the cold floor. When she looks up, her blood runs cold. A figure stands there, its eyes hollow and glowing, a twisted grin stretching its face as it moves closer. Claire scrambled back, her heart racing as the figure inched closer. Its glowing, empty eyes bore into her, a chilling silence filling the room. The walls felt like they were closing in as she tried to stand, but her legs failed her. Panic gripped her chest. Every breath came faster, harder, as the skeletal figure's shadow grew longer, swallowing her whole. Claire's mind raced. The air was thick with tension, her thoughts fogged by fear. She tried to scream, but no sound came out. The skeletal figure stepped closer, its hollow eyes never leaving hers. Her body froze, unable to move, the room seemed to grow colder, the walls pressing in tighter. In that moment, Claire knew, this thing wasn't just hunting her. It was waiting, watching, for something far worse to happen. Claire's chest heaves, as she scrambles backward, her hands trembling. The creature's footsteps echo through the room, its grotesque smile widening as it inches closer. The oppressive cold in the air sharpens, and Claire can feel the presence of something ancient and evil. Her flashlight flickers, casting distorted shadows, as she looks up, eyes filled with terror, her body too weak to escape. It's closing in, and she has nowhere left to run. Claire's breathing quickened, as she stumbled through the darkened hallway. The whispers grew louder, filling the air with dread. She could feel the weight of unseen eyes following her every step. At the end of the hallway, a door creaked open by itself, revealing only darkness beyond. The temperature dropped, and the whispers turned into cold, guttural voices. The door slowly closed behind her, trapping her in the suffocating silence. Claire heard a dull thump beneath her feet. Then another. The floorboards creaked under invisible pressure. She dropped to her knees, pressing her ear to the wood, faint whispers echoed from below. Suddenly, a sharp crack split the floor. Fingers, thin, gray, and twitching, pushed through the gap. Something was trying to come up, and it knew her name. Claire backed away from the hole in the floor, heart racing. Then she saw it, on the nearby wall, a human mouth, sewn shut, embedded into the wallpaper. It twitched, then the stitches broke. A hoarse whisper crawled out, "You let it in." Her breath caught. The mouth kept speaking, but the words weren't in her voice. Claire stumbled into the next room, dead silence. The walls were covered in pictures of her, ones she never remembered taking. In each photo, she was asleep, or worse, staring straight at the camera. Her hands trembled. On the table, a fresh photo slowly slid out of an old Polaroid. It was her, and now, in this room. Claire turned toward the wall behind the table, and noticed something strange. One of the photos wasn't pinned, but drawn, directly onto the wall. As she touched it, the wall pulsed. The paint shifted, revealing a faint outline of a doorway. A cold breath brushed her neck. Behind her, something whispered, "You're almost there." The wall gave way, revealing a narrow passage, swallowed in darkness. Claire stepped inside, her footsteps echoing. The air felt thick, like it hadn't been disturbed in decades. As she moved deeper, she saw portraits, dozens of them, lining the walls. Each one was of her, in different stages of fear. Claire stopped at the end of the corridor, heart pounding. One last portrait stared back, it was her, but older, and behind her in the painting, the figure loomed. She turned around slowly. There it was, smiling. And everything went dark. Claire steps into a cold, concrete room, deep in the asylum's basement. The walls are lined with names, carved by hand. In the center, 6 small wooden coffins sit, each lid slightly open. One has her name etched into it. Her hands tremble as she lifts the lid. Inside the coffin, Claire finds a decayed doll, wearing the same necklace she lost as a child. The stench hits her, rotten and chemical. As she touches it, a loud thump sounds behind her. She's not alone. The ghostly orderlies return, now clearer, dressed in bloodied white uniforms. One whispers, "You were never discharged." Claire backs away, clutching the doll. They move in perfect silence, circling her slowly. Claire lashes out, swinging a rusted pipe. One of the ghostly figures crumbles into ash. The others scream, louder than human voices. She runs, heart pounding, finally smashing through a steel door she never saw before. Claire emerges into the dawn, covered in dirt and blood. Behind her, the asylum sits eerily quiet, almost abandoned again. Police arrive, but she says nothing. No one would ever believe what happened beneath St. Agatha's. Claire never spoke of what happened beneath St. Agatha's asylum. The official report called it an abandoned building, no records, no survivors, no staff. But the scars on her arms, the whispers in her sleep, told another story. Some nights, she still dreams of the room with her name on a coffin. And somewhere, in the silence below that crumbling asylum, the orderlies are still waiting. If you want to uncover more true horror stories, subscribe to Cursed Diaries now, and remember, the scariest tales are always the real ones.